Hello and welcome back to what I wish was still the Arsenal bite-sized podcast because this is one that I do want to keep very bite-sized indeed. It's been a while. The last pod we did was after Portsmouth away before Chelsea. So yeah, lots happened in that time. We obviously beat Chelsea 3-2 away, drew 0-0 against Forest, I want to say, then beat Inter away from home midweek last week 3-1. But it all feels not irrelevant, but just not the most prominent thing that we need to discuss right now, having just lost 3-2 at home to Man United in the league yesterday. Now, Uncle Mike, before I bring you in, I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial. And I will explain why, whether we do it straight away or throughout the pod, whatever. But I am glad yesterday happened. And I will leave it there. Welcome back.
Good afternoon, mate. It's a grey Manchester afternoon. I've just returned back from London for the weekend, and I think this pod has kind of got a grey vibe coming over it because of what happened yesterday. It just wasn't. I couldn't see it coming at all. I thought it would be a tough game. I never knew it. United Arsenal is never ever, no matter what position either club is in the table, or culture, or stability of club, or crisis, they always turn up against each other. And we've said it many times: play the team, not the badge. Obviously, they came into a bit of form last weekend, and they played really, really well against City. And kind of was hoping it was just a one-off. But I was predicting 3-1 before the game. I think it'll be a tight. I said to you, didn't I? I think it'll be a 2-1 tight game, and we'll break away and we get third, and it's sort of that type of game. We have 9 years record gone against them, which is really pissed me off. Because my morning in the office tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun with full of United fans. So I've got that to look forward to. So yeah, it was all in all, it was a bit of a poor afternoon, and I do kind of know what you're saying with your statement as well.
What? Yeah, interesting. Fair enough. I thought people would be like, what are you on about? But uh, I felt similar to you. Obviously, yeah, we met each other in the concourse before, but the morning of the game, I didn't feel great. I just had this weird gut feeling that it's going to be tight. Like the Inter game was great, but I couldn't shake the feeling of like the Forest one in my head, Liverpool. Like there's been a theme for me this season of like in these big games. I know Chelsea, we were great, but like in these big games, we don't really and kill these teams. Whereas 2, 3 years ago, like our top six record was kind of like famous sort of thing, weren't it? Because of how good it was and stuff. But then as it got nearer to kickoff, I saw the lineup drop, and I'm not going to kid anyone. I really liked it. Like I liked the Jesus inclusion. I'm not saying I liked what I saw after, but like before the game, I'm not going to kid anyone. I did like it. I thought it would be going for like the fluidity approach, like try and catch him out of position, this, that, and it just didn't transpire. And like there's so much to talk about the game. I guess when I say I'm happy yesterday happened, I really need to be careful how I choose my words here, but I can only speak for myself, right? And I know there will definitely be fans that will resonate with what I'm about to say, and there will definitely be fans that have been more grounded than me, like yourself, that haven't got as carried away as I've been. But I had a genuine belief that we would win this title with like 2, 3 games to go. I know I joke about the quad and stuff, but like if I had to put what I kind of exaggerate those things, but I'm not going to kid anyone. I genuinely thought we would win this title with 2, 3 games to go. And why am I happy this happened yesterday? Because I think there's an element of that creeping into the players. I think there's this sense of entitlement, arrogance about a few of them that's showing up in their performances. And they're like, some of the performances are absolutely turgid at the minute. And there's so many factors that I'm not aware of behind the scenes, right? But I do think this group gives me a sense of they feel like they're owed this because of how close we've got in a few years, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not owed anything in football. Like what I'm happy because I feel like this is almost a little bit of a wake up call of we are Arsenal Football Club. We've not won the Premier League title since 2004, myself included in this, despite being the strongest squad I've ever seen at this football club. You're not going to ride your way through to the title easily. Like, I almost think this is a bit of a wake up call of like, you want this Premier League title, you have to graft for it, you have to earn it. And I'm happy because I think there was a danger of some of the players falling into this trap of thinking, yep, we're just going to coast our way through it. We'll have it psychologically done, even if not mathematically done by April, be able to rotate in and around the Champions League, and like the whole season's going to be plain sailing. And again, I fell into that trap. I'm going to be totally transparent. I genuinely fell into thinking that's how it would pan out. And I do think this is the reality slap around the face of no, bring yourselves back down to earth. Again, I'm talking about myself here. It's only 4 points. And if we're going to win this title, we have to play and earn it. 3 points for the next 4 games, nothing less. We have to get to a point where we're going to the Etihad and we do something, because I'm getting fed up of feeling like I know what this group is capable of and them not demonstrating it and showing it. I didn't buy into the bottling stuff in the 22-23 season, and people will probably banter me for it, but I genuinely believe that was Saliba, Tomiyasu getting injured at the same time. 23-24, I think it took us too long to figure out what our best dynamics were, and then you go on a run, 89 points, most goals we've ever scored in a campaign. Like, I put my hands up and say, it is what it is. This season, for the first time under this manager, I'm questioning the mentality of this group, because what happened yesterday, how you like Clive says it about like what is this group like when they go through stress, and my different, like very similar take, but like how I word it differently is like, when you're going through adversity, that is when you demonstrate mental strength. And for the first time ever, I am slightly entertaining this narrative around what is the mentality of this group, because how we responded to going 1-0 up yesterday was diabolical. It was absolutely diabolical. That like, sure, we can discuss tactics and stuff, but that's when you show what have you got about you. And sorry, I know I've spoke for a lot of time there, but like, I'm glad it happened yesterday, because I think a fan like myself needed a reality check. I think some of these players needed a reality check, and I think they need to earn the right to win this title, not feel like they're just going to go coast their way to it in May.
I know what you're saying, mate. I think it was the whole narrative around the club is building week by week by week. People handing us the trophy, people telling us that we're the best team in the world, we as well as ourselves, but a lot of the media, because you know what they're doing, they're setting us up for fail. I'm at home, I'm working from home or whatever, I'm here, I have Sky Sports on the background, and there's a lot of, it's just full of 80% of should Arsenal win this? What if Arsenal win that? What if Arsenal win that? And I think that is seeping into certainly the fan base and potentially the players. What happened yesterday was when we went 1-0 up, I think the last 24 games we've gone one scored first, we've gone on to win the game. And I thought, as fans in the stadium and players, we just thought, right, that's it. 1-0, job done. We're gonna. This is not a. This is going to be a procession now. We've got that first goal, and we can, and there's no problem. And that you know, you can go into it. There's the sloppiness. There was. We got a couple of warnings before Zubimendi gave that ball away. What he's doing, you know, I'd really. I think, I don't know about you, I think it's more of an overview for me on this of rather than persecuting certain players' performances on the day, because I don't think that's you know, when we lose a game like that, it's very, very easy to, right, let's blame it on this person and let's blame it on that person. And I'm not saying we're not going to discuss certain people's performances, but I'm not blaming Zubimendi for why we went, what, you know, I just think it was a, I mean, why do you think he played that ball? He
But
didn't have to play that ball.
before we go into it, can I ask you a question about something else? Because you were there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we will go there. Like, I do think it's important to like discuss some of those things that happened in the game, and I do think we can do it without throwing anyone under the bus. But like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you kind of touched on it there in sense of like we went 1-0 up in the crowd and stuff. I was livid with our support yesterday. I was absolutely livid.
Yeah.
Was this your first home game this season?
The City game,
Okay.
which was equally as edgy
So
and not great, and not great. But now it's tenfold. Now there's an expectancy, and there was I don't think there was a great atmosphere yesterday. I don't think there was much support. Not I mean, we keep harking back to it, but like the 22, 21, 12, 22, 23 season, if you had a setback like that, they'd be roared on. And I don't think there was no roaring on. I just think we are absolutely shitting ourselves as a fan base, as the whole world was upon us, waiting for us to crumble, and they do that every week. And I've sat there many a week, and we've got away with it. You know, we had the Wolves come back, and we didn't play well. We've clawed it back. I mean, I'll ask you this: I was saying to my brother, I'll take 2-2. When it was 2-1 down, I'm taking 2-2 all day long. And how would you feel right now? Because okay, we're sort of going all over the place, but it was a worldy goal, 2 worldy goals. Yeah, and you can discuss how they happened or whatever. Would you feel a little bit better if it was a 2-2 draw, and that Cunha goal didn't happen? Would you put it down to just a bad day at the office, or are you seeing bigger signs? As I'm trying to sort of look at it as, I just think it was a bad day at the office. Okay, that's where I'm sitting. That's where I'm sitting at the moment. But I've got concerns, a lot of concerns about things not clicking. So you can have both of those things be true. So I'm trying to overview the day as that, it's just one of those days. It's happened, and there was a little bit of variance with the 2 worldies. Two fantastic goals. But at 2-2, I would have felt a bit more. I would have felt it was a bad day at the office. But yeah, my concerns go a bit deeper, and that's the striking and the attacking concerns, and we'll get on to talking about that. But
yeah,
how was your feeling of the atmosphere then? You wasn't obviously impressed.
Mate, I'm not happy with it. I think I understand that there's so much on the line for everyone, right? And I'm not here to police how people feel at football, but I'm sorry, we're supporters. You're a supporter of this football club. If you're lucky enough to have a ticket and be in there, I understand there's people that have health conditions and stuff, right? And I understand, like, there are people that have earned their stripes, they're unable to get involved in the way they would have liked to, would have been able to before, or B would like to. But like, there are people that have a ticket in there that can. And I'm sorry, if you're a supporter of this football club and you are lucky enough to have a ticket, we're trying to go for our first title since 2004. Some of these fans, and I say fans because they're not supporters, some of these fans should not be in that stadium. It is an absolute embarrassment how some of them behave in there, because you're right. Saliba scored an own goal against Leicester 2-3 years ago. The support was amazing. Everyone rallied behind him. And I don't want to keep referencing that season because that was the anomaly, not the norm of what Arsenal supporters are in the Emirates. But a game like yesterday, we're 2-1 down against Man United and everyone's flat. And again, I think people are probably burnt out, just like they burnt out sounds silly, but I do think people are just like, it's been a tiring few years in the context of Arsenal, right? I get you're going to have non-league clubs and this and that, but like in the context of Arsenal, we've come close. We've come second 3 times in a row and we're getting bantered for it, right? So I get it. People just want it now, but like, you have to get behind the team in moments like this. I don't care if it's going to be a 4th season of coming second again. If you're a supporter, support the bloody team. And mate, where I sit in the East stand, right? So like, that's enough said. It's embarrassing. Like I'm loud at games. I'm very loud. And it's not for being loud for the sake of it. I'm passionate, right? I get behind the team. I believe the 12th man is a thing. I believe if it takes one person in a certain area, it congregates around. Like, your brother was at Stamford Bridge a few weeks ago. I was like the row behind him. I ask him, how good was that away end? It galvanizes the team something. Arteta speaks so much about the power of the 12th man. And we're like, I know it goes both ways, but our supporters in the Emirates are just not fit for purpose. I'm sorry, they are not good enough, and it's I don't know when your team is in the middle of a title race, end of January. Sure, we're still 4 points clear, and like I'm not happy with that, by the way. But like people leaving early, people not saying a word when they get like I get it, you're flat, but put that on pause for a second, man. Even if you're angry, just give something. Like there's too many people that just accept defeat so quickly, and the home crowd is really winding me up to the point where I'm genuinely tempted to start watching, like, or maybe just not go to every single game and maybe just do the away ones or something. But then I'm like, that's me being a hypocrite. Like, I feel like I have a duty of being there to, like, even if I look like the idiot amongst where I sit, you have to get up, be loud and proud, get behind the team. And like Finn is in the chat and he says too many people have forgotten that they're a supporter and not just a viewer. The clue is in the name. It's spot on, man. I am so livid about the home support. And I feel like, yeah, Finn's just summarized it better in a sentence than I was trying to in a few minutes. People have forgotten what the word supporter means, in my opinion, and it's an absolute disgrace what the state of some of our home support is, in my opinion.
Agreed, mate. And it was flat. I mean, there was little pockets where I was behind. I was block 6 behind the goal, pockets, but that's the lively area. You know, that's where we should be getting in North Bank. That should be behind the goal. That should be. And it was. I'm not saying it was flat the whole time, but I think there was moments when we needed them.
It's only
And
buzzing when we're
I'm
winning, though.
screaming. Yeah, I'm screaming my voice because I'm down. I want to make the most of it. The boys are with me. They're doing the same, and you're trying to give it all. But it's just disappointing. It's disappointing, but it's not as disappointing as that some of those performances on the pitch, mate. Because I think we need to talk about where should we start? Where do you want to go?
Where's what's come to your brain first? You started talking about Zubimendi, so do you
Well,
want to just go there?
I thought. I mean, yeah, I think the bigger issue for me is Ødegaard, mate. We've got to talk about
Okay, go for
Ødegaard.
it.
I think let's go there and again, I think it was no Ødegaard was the I don't know. It's just I'm getting concerned about his performances in these big matches that you referenced. I couldn't agree more with you with your opening stance on how we're approaching these big games. We where's that meme or that meme that we kept seeing with all or the visual that says like 200 or 2 years since Chelsea beat us, 4 years since Liverpool, 5 years since Spurs, Man United, City, all that. That's not being paraded anymore. And I think if you go back and look at the Ødegaard performances in those big games, I don't think he's showing up. I think he's dropping deep, and this is what you've got to ask yourself. And this is the bigger question for me: is our attack? Um, and I kind of want to. I've been thinking about it for a while of how I want to visualize it. Is I think Arteta's struggling with too many options now.
I agree.
And I think he's been a manager that adapts and survives with the least amount of and thrives having one striker that he's got to pick for 4 months. And now he's got four strikers or three strikers and wingers and tens and letting Ethan go out on loan. And how I've tried to think about it, I've looked at it in two ways. It's either like a 5 cards and you're trying to play poker or a slot machine. And whatever combination that you've put in that 3 up front and you're 2 behind, or you want to put it in a slot machine at Vegas. And I don't think he's managed to work out that 5 combo in an effective way so far.
I think that's spot on.
The most effective way I've seen is including Marino and Eza. Marino top, Eza there. That's where you've got the best out of Eza. So if you're looking at a whole general view, we can talk about Eza, we could talk about Ødegaard, but that 5, I don't think he's got the best out of that. And it's changing from week to week. You said it, you've referenced as what he's kind of went for in this game, and we've spoken about it before in the Liverpool game. Did he get this right? Is he going in the Villa game? Is he getting? I think it's not. He just hasn't found it. But I do believe once he does find that but is it like the perfect combo? Or is it like the Goldilocks? It's got to be perfect that you can't win the league like that. Okay. You have to be able to drop certain players in and still beat teams like Manchester United yesterday, still score goals against Nottingham Forest away, still beat a fairly disappointed Liverpool side. And those three players that you're sort of putting it in, I don't think we've got the best out of any of them. You might have two play well, but the other three haven't, and that's why I wanted to pose to you on how you feel about that, and when are we going to get this best five?
I don't have much more to add. You've nailed it, in my opinion. I think you've completely nailed it. On when I think we'll get that again. This is where I'm kind of in the boat of. I'm glad this has happened in January of the Liverpool, Forest, and Man United stretch, because I think this is going to force him to make some unpopular decisions. And you look at, like, it's back-to-back games now where Ødegaard's been hooked, where we're needing to score a goal. I may have that wrong. Was it Forest he got hooked as well? I know he obviously got hooked yesterday. There was definitely another game. Was it Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's back-to-back games now. So it wouldn't surprise me if, obviously, we've got Kyra at midweek, so we'll see how we come through injury-wise and stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if everyone's available, we see something different to what we've been seeing. And I agree. Again, I don't want to add too much because you've hit the nail on the head, but I do think this stretch has happened and is going to force us into something different, because we need something different. Let's not kid anyone, right? Like, we are first in the league. We're first in the Champions League, semi-final of the League Cup. So, like, we're doing something right. But there are still so many things that feel like we're on the wrong side of variance. Sorry, not we're on the wrong side. We're very close to being on the wrong side of a few things going completely tits up. Sure, we're top of everything now in January. It feels like a few more wrong selections, we could be having a very different conversation in a month's time. And it's about being proactive and sorting that, because I agree. The bet Newcastle away, I know it required a last-minute winner, a phenomenal performance. There was another stretch where we were playing and it was like
Munich, Tottenham, when we had Mourinho and Eze, and those performances were, fluid. We look good. Eze's getting 4 or 5 shots off of your game. He's not looking isolated. Players were thriving in that system, and then suddenly it's all a little bit jangly. I mean, we can talk.
Can I say something? This is going to be very unlike me. I love him. But as Arsenal Vision does, they do the stock rising, stock fallings and stuff. I want to give a stock falling to Arteta. I think he has managed. He's made some questionable decisions recently, in my opinion. The 4 subs yesterday screamed to me as a man that's panicking slightly. It felt very impulsive, reactionary, and a little bit over emotional, in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, we weren't playing well and it required changes, but 4? I don't think that went and fixed the balance and structural issues. I feel like 3 of them would have been fine, because I did like with what he was trying to do, but 4 felt overly impulsive, and like, you're changing almost half your team there. It takes a few minutes for that
especially at 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that, what you said about the kind of too many options, and I'm not sure he's getting the best out of everyone. And another one, again, this is not just like, I'm still as in love with the man as I ever have been. Like, think he'll go on to do amazing things, but I have to say things as I see it, and I don't think he's been great recently. And what's the cliche everyone says when you have a big squad? Strength in depth. It's going to raise the level of everyone. If there are so many players consistently dropping stinkers when in theory everyone has competition for places, what's that about? What is that about? I'm sorry, like that. It's not good enough. You look at our attackers and their output. I don't want this to become a bigger thing than it needs to be. Other than, I think it's okay to ask questions of the man I love, and I've got no questions about him long term. But in this moment, I'm disappointed in him, and I don't know. I just look at. I think something needs to change drastically. I think he's defaulted to comfort too much. You look at another thing you mentioned about the Big Six record that got marauded everywhere, right? We didn't get that Big Six record by being conservative. We had balls. We went to places and played them. Sure, there was the odd game at the Etihad where we parked it and stuff, but I'd say it was the 80-20 rule. 80% of those big 6 games, we were popping teams around, we were moving it, it was lovely. 20%, yeah, we parked it. I get that. It's gone the other way. It's 80% conservative. And like, I know you said you haven't watched Match of the Day, but Rooney did a really nice bit of analysis on the goal. And there was that. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, it was around the Zubimendi error and the Saliba thing where like the ball goes into Zubimendi, and this is like a coaching point, right? So there's so much that went wrong in this goal. I'm going to add my own things to what Rooney said too. Saliba's pass into Zubimendi was bad because if you're under pressure and being pressed, you do not pass straight into someone's feet. You pass it either 1 or 2 yards to their right or left, so it informs their next pass, one touch. By passing straight to their feet, you put them square on, and that's why he was able. He shanked it, right? Because he had to take a touch there, but he was being pressed, so he couldn't. That's one of my coaching points. The thing Rooney was saying, which was amazing, was before that, the ball went into Zubimendi from Rice, maybe? Or it went into Zubimendi from someone, but Rice made a run into space. If Zubimendi plays that pass into Rice first time, Rice is in. There's a big gaping hole that he can drive through, and who knows what we do after that. There's another thing that we did earlier in the game. We played through the lines. I remember seeing this doing the rounds. 26 minute, played through the lines. Rice plays it out to Hincapié on the left. We're in. Like 3/4 of the way up the pitch. We're driving. He goes back, recycles it. Man United settle into their block. There's so many examples I can recall over this season, less so this season, but last season, and it feels like a familiar thing creeping into this team on overly cautious and looking for control. And I remember last year there was a game, Wolves away, the game where Miles got that absurd red card. We avoided the center of the pitch like the plague. And I remember it felt like there was space to run into it and we avoided it. And again, it's a stop falling on the manager. I think he has instilled a belief of being overly cautious to these players that is affecting their decision making in split seconds because the speed they operate at, you see these ref cams doing the rounds, right? Everyone can see the speed of the Premier League. Your split second decision making is influenced by your subconscious on what you're being fed on the training pitch. And I think there is certain scenarios where they tap into this mentality of I have to be super cautious. That only comes from one place. And it's upsetting me. It's really upsetting me because we see when these guys play fearlessly with the handbrake off, they are absolutely phenomenal. I do think there's an anxiety being led by the coaching team that is negatively impacting this group.
I think it leads into why, if we want to touch on Eza, on what's happening with him, because I think there's a lot of that is feeding into why he's looking so disappointed because he made a fairly it was a big mistake in that, not tracking back in Matt and Cash in the Villa game. And then he was put in the Arteta penitentiary.
He was put in the gulag, weren't he?
Yeah, man, for 4 weeks. Then, I got 2 or 3 minutes here. The way you're going to build a player like Eza in our team is by playing him, and you've almost got to accept that there will be mistakes. But Arteta doesn't accept that, does he? So we saw Martinelli get hooked 3 years ago against Forest in a game. I think he got hooked and never played again for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Smith Rowe came in, took his place. Martinelli eventually got his place back. Now we're levels above that, thankfully. But what we're doing with Eza at the moment is we're knocking a player out of confidence. He was brought to be a magic moments man, and that's exactly what this team needs at the moment is magic moments. And I think that you can chuck Madueke into that, but that's a more bigger issue is the end product at the moment with Madueke because he is creating magic moments. He just puts it in fucking behind the goal and instead of across the goal because there was a couple of chances yesterday. But as going back to Eza, is it time to play Eza ahead of Ødegaard? But we've said it. We didn't want it to be one or the other. We wanted it to be don't rely on Ødegaard all the time, but is it time to actually show Eza and say, look, man, this is your time? But I don't think a coach like Arteta does that because he's too afraid to lose that control. And I saw the horseshoe of death come out yesterday again at times, and I was like, I thought we got away from this shit, but I agree. I think there's a bit of, it's what's always been levelled at Arteta from opposition fans and whatever. And I've always tried to defend it and always tried to say no, not quite seeing that or whatever. But there is concerns that you don't buy. Why buy players like Eze and then not play him as creative and give him the role that he wants to play and it almost accepts, yes, there will be moments where you'll get broken on, but I'm concerned at that. And yeah, I can see, I do agree with the coaching out of it, which is we don't want to see. But what you said earlier about this is the moment. What Arteta seems to have done in the past is he's waited too long before he changes. It happened with Holding with Kiwior. Didn't trust Kiwior enough, trusted Rob Holding, went 2 or 3 games too long. Remember, there was Lacazette. He overplayed Lacazette, and then he ended up giving
Came in instead.
Eddie.
Oh, Eddie, yeah.
And okay, Eddie's Eddie, but he done a little bit of a better job than Lacazette. And I'm just, what you said earlier is resonating with me, is we need those tweaks. And we're 50, this is the warning, this is the klaxon. 15 games. Sort the fucking shit out now. Get your next 4 games. No excuses.
Next 4 is Leeds away, Sunderland home. I can't remember what order. Brentford away, Tottenham away.
Yeah, we need 4 wins.
Yep.
No doubts about it.
No excuses. 4 wins.
No wins, and then it's back on track. But and as my brother said to me yesterday, half jokingly, we'll win the league in May instead of April. But that's where we are at the moment. I don't want to lose belief, and I can't believe that I'm going to lose belief of knowing how good this team is and seeing how good this team is and seeing us have mentality in big moments. I'm not going to lose belief over one afternoon yesterday that we're not going to win the league. But I do have, my arse is starting to clench. And if it's clenching in 15 games, I don't want to be clenching really in fucking with 5 games to go. Because look at Liverpool. They had 8-point lead. Sorry, mate. They were proclaiming themselves as champions. They had an 8-point lead in September or whatever. And now they're, look where they are. You said it. If we don't get this shit sorted now or in the next 4 games, we're 1 point behind very easily. And then if we go 1 point behind, I don't think we recover, or 2 points behind. I think we've just got to stay ahead. That's how I feel. I don't know how. Do you think if we go behind at any point?
It depends when it is. I do think it's still recoverable, but it would be, you know what you said about narratives, and people will say things and you don't quite see it. I'm the same, but we are in the process of bottling this. I do think we'll stop it. And as much as I've been critical of Arteta, the one thing he's demonstrated consistent evidence on is solutionizing, and like something not quite working, and whether it's forced upon him or he's proactively done something, he has always found a solution to a problem we've got. So I back him to sort this out, and I think he will. I have questions over the mentality of this group, and I've never quite bought into that with what everyone says on the outside. But how we approached that game yesterday after going 1-0 up, that's all up in here. If anyone on the audio, that's in your, like, I'm pointing at your head. That's all in your head, how you respond to that. The mentality of this group, for the first time as me supporting, first time in this, well, we've been supporters of this group, this project, I agree with some of the narratives around the mentality, and now's your time to show it. Like, sort it out, go and win the next 4 games, and like, maybe it's meant to be this way. Like, we haven't won the title since 2004, right? Liverpool, their last 2 league titles last year, I don't think anyone remembers it because of how easy it was, in the sense of, like, and fair play, they earned the right to win it, but no one really remembers it. COVID year was COVID. Maybe it was meant to be this way, that like we haven't won it since 2004. Maybe it's, people take this how you want. If you believe in God, if like you believe in fate, whatever, but like maybe it was meant to be the way of, you have to graft and earn the right to win it in a proper way come May, not just win it in April, get on the Sun Lounger and stuff. Like, earn it and have it mean something. Because I know everyone will be like, who cares if we win the league in April or May? But like, I do believe there is something, and if we get over the line, and there's some needle on it coming into May, and we get over the line, that will mean so much, and that will almost overcome mental barriers for the future. Like, I do think being stress tested, giving adversity, like, this is a life thing. I'm noticing this myself. Like, the biggest periods of growth and self-belief all come from when your life goes to shit. And like, I do wonder if there's an element of that with this Arsenal team, of like, here's an opportunity on things are not going right. What are you going to do? Put your chest out, learn, show that you deserve this title, because we're not entitled to it. I do believe there's a big entitlement in this fan base and in some of the players, and mentality wise, I'm starting to buy into some of the narratives. Show what you're made of now and go and earn the right to win this title.
You're talking to someone who their first title was on my first title was 1989, and that was hard earned, and that went for the history out there. I'm sure people know it went down to the last kick of the season, and we had to go to Liverpool and win 2-0 away. And at that time, they were massive, best team in Europe. So what I'm basically getting at is the Arsenal will always do it the hard way. And
Yeah.
this is we will fuck ourselves over. So we will always do it the hard way. So I totally spot on, mate, about earning it. I think we have got a bit of entitlement about us, and I think that feeds in the whole big bubble around us, is just saying you're handing it on a plate, to us. I don't think I think we've just got a you've got now you could I can keep saying, oh, it's the bad day at the office, but we're starting to get a bigger and bigger sample size here. We've got Liverpool at home, we've got the Forest game, we've got this game. No, I think I heard something was the last goal that we scored, or open play goal was like in Bournemouth,
Yeah.
something like that. So we've tried to convince. Me and you have sat here on many a podcast, and we've told ourselves it's all going to be all right when the attack comes back. It's all
I'm
going
glad
to be
you
all right
said
when the
this.
attack comes
Yep.
back. And we've got levels. Well, fucking show us.
Yep.
Fucking show us. Put your bollocks on the table. You spent enough money on the squad. Get it clicking. Clicking.
Yeah, agree. I have a think what stuff you want to cover next. If you can't think of anything, I've got a few things up my sleeve. I just want to shout out some of the guys in the chat, because we've had a lot in, and sorry, I've not said anything or shouted any of them out. We've got a Zwappen in. What a cool username. Afternoon, lads. Time for some therapy. Got a boy Finn in. Afternoon, lads. Time for some therapy. We've got Christopher Tellers in. And by the way, send in your questions. I know a few of them. Finn sent a few good ones in. I'll cover them towards the end. My second screen's not working, so I'm having to like save them, and then I'll get to them as and when I can, but we will cover all of them. Christopher Tellers is in from Kenya, says, what makes that performance more of a kick in the face is that it has been coming, and too many people try to discredit those of us who were disappointed with the Liverpool and Forest results. Agree, Chris, mate. He said, yesterday's turgid performance doesn't happen if the players turned up and got wins in the 2 previous league games. Finn, yesterday was the angriest I've been in a game in the entire Arteta period, I think. Absolutely disgusting performances all round. The first 2 goals were freaks, but the third was unforgivable. Yeah, my mate Tevin is a Liverpool fan who's in the chat with his eye emojis. Got Igaro Douglas. Good evening, my brothers. He said, Arsenal disappoint us yesterday like we are fools. Players should be extra careful. Finn says the only sub that he had an issue with was Trossard coming off. He said if we had a decent player yesterday, it was him. And why is Martinelli behind Madueke in the pecking order to come on? Based on what exactly? Yeah, again, it's the 4 subs felt like he kind of put himself into a like I don't know what the word is, but he like boxed himself in with what he could then do.
Put himself in a headlock, didn't he? Because
Yeah.
you had one option left.
Yeah, and like on the why, this I'm not saying I agree with this, but why I think he opted for Madueke instead of Martinelli in that moment was with Madueke, you do get that little bit of unpredictability and chaos. It didn't work for us. It worked for Man United yesterday when it happened, but like there are that's why I think he went for him instead of Martinelli, because Martinelli, I think sometimes if his dribbling technique doesn't work, he just kind of runs straight into a player. I mean, fair enough, Madueke just runs off the pitch instead, but that's why I think he opted for that. I don't know what you think.
I was quite surprised to see Saka go on the left.
It should have been the other way.
Yeah,
Stick Madueke on the left.
Yeah. So I was surprised at that. And if you are going to do that, then I would think Martinelli would probably be more effective on the left than, I don't know. Does it say a lot about Martinelli why he wasn't chosen? Wasn't that, or
I don't think so. I think, again, I'm not saying this is right, but like just how I perceive it was, he thought, if based on what we've seen of Madueke, sure, his end product's bad, needs work, but like against what game was it? Away from home, he did really well. Bournemouth, was it? And it was like just the relentlessness to take his man on. I think the game, in my opinion, was calling out for that. So I think that's why he opted for it. It's just the outcome of it didn't work. He fucking ran off the pitch. So I don't think it's demonstrative of where Martinelli is. I think it was in that moment what the manager saw he had available, having put himself in a headlock, opted for it, and it didn't work out. Oh, sorry. I've lost my train of thought there. So next comment was Christopher Telles. Our top scorers in the league, brackets, Gyökeres and Trossard, are on a punitive 5 goals. There's a bunch right behind them with 4 goals, including own goal. It's just not good enough from an attacking perspective. And yeah, this is it. Like, you said it already, right? You and I have both been saying the attack, there's levels to come. The attack will click X, Y, when, then, if. Now's the time to show it, right? And I do think there's a large element of that on the manager to sort it out and get it right. Finn also says the midfield shape yesterday was horrible. The gap between all three was enormous. And when every pass you make is 30 yards, that opens yourself up to giving stuff away in the middle, like the first goal. Yeah, spot on. One other thing, by the way, on the Zubimendi era, again, Rooney pointed this out on Match of the Day. Ball goes into someone. I think it was Saliba. Yeah, it was Saliba. At the point Saliba passes it to Zubimendi, Ødegaard is facing him and should come and drop in deep to give himself as an option to then either turn or pop it off to someone else. He doesn't. He hides, and Saliba goes to Zubimendi. I'm not pinning this on Ødegaard. That was a mistake between Saliba and Zubimendi. But I've said the words before, Martin Ødegaard hides sometimes. And I believe, that adversity is a key word that I like to assess this Arsenal group under. And the jury's out. I'll say that. Finn says, if we go behind, we're finished. I think this was when you were asking if we go behind by a point or two. He said, well, either win the league by 8 to 10 points or we don't win it. He's asked a couple great questions that I'll get to later on. And then final comment, he says, agree with the Saka Madueke wing thing. It's classic change multiple things to fix one problem phenomenon we see with Mikel fairly often, and he did say you get a bit of dribbling off the pitch as well. But yeah, that's all caught up with the comments for now. Obviously, keep them coming. I'll read them out and stuff as and when. But yeah, on the game, Uncle Mike, is there anything else you want to cover? I'm thinking like
I don't want to get into refereeing decisions, but there was a couple of things that you just have to mention.
Go on.
I suppose. Maguire handball penalty. There's one incident, and the Dorgu handball flicked up. I mean, you don't want to rule. I mean, it was a brilliant goal. Let's put it out there. Yeah, man, they're brilliant goals, and you got to give credit, because that if you're United, that's a fantastic performance and a fantastic result. So give them the credit. 2 worldies and a bit of a mistake by us, but the Maguire one I only saw again just now, and I don't know. I think the law is, if your hand is on the floor supporting your body and the ball strikes your hand, then it's not handball. But he was falling to the floor and it struck his hand. Now we can say, well, Liverpool fans will still remind us that they should have had a penalty against us with Ødegaard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, probably was right. We got away with one. So they probably got away with that one. I'm not saying that's the reason we lost. at all. I'm just saying, I think in the context of the game, it was a quite, it was a talking point after. So,
I,
what was
I,
your feelings on that?
I still don't know. I've seen it again, and I feel conflicted. On one hand, I'm like, that feels harsh. Like I don't think he's intentionally trying to handball it. I do think it's the way he's fallen and tried to block it, and it's hit his hand. And then on the other hand, pardon the pun, I am like, it's hit his hand. Like, but I don't know. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I guess the Dorgu one, I'll say, yeah, I don't think that's a handball. If I'm honest.
Although we have seen it, I don't want to be the Arsenal fan that, we can pull out. We have Arsenal fans that pull out 10 incidents of similar things that's happened to us over the past. But there was a Havertz goal that was disallowed that they thought it had hit his hand, but couldn't prove that it's hit his hand, so disallowed it. But on a worldy goal like that, I do not want to be seeing, if Eze's hitting that from outside the area, I don't want to be seeing that disallowed. So.
Can I two things. One is Raya's positioning for Cunha's goal was very suspect, in my opinion. If you look at it and Mikel Merino, my favorite break dancer, who's always on the floor. Mate, before he even fell on the floor, he was so weak in the duel. He lost the duel. The ball goes in between the lines, and then Cunha.
Rice has to cover, and he's out of position, and he doesn't get across, does he?
All I'd say is, I'm going to give him a positive before I criticize him. David Raya's James Bond moment, sliding with the ball and then throwing it out to the right back, was very funny. I think we were losing at the time, but that genuinely that made me laugh. But people will say I have an agenda against Raya. I don't, but he was questionable for that goal, in my opinion, because when Cunha sets up to take the strike, everyone just go and watch the goal. Watch David Raya. He stands. He's not in the middle of the goal. He stands on one side of the goal, almost like, with a free kick where you back the wall to cover one side. And I'm not a goalkeeper coach, but why are you doing that in open play? And if I'm being hypercritical, Dorgu's goal weren't in top bins, mate. And there was another goal recently that also wasn't top bins.
So what you're saying is, mate, you want Ramsdale back, yeah?
I'm just saying, he is open to criticism more than I think our fan base allows. I think he's fantastic, he's unbelievable, but some of the goals that go in aren't banging the corner, and in my opinion, that is in the preparation and what your intuition tells you on the cues that you pick up on where you start your positioning. This is my thing. There is always things in your control you can improve, and I believe I'm seeing things, but people get very, very I don't know. Like my mate Andrew gives me so much shit over Raya because he thinks I hate him. I'm like, I don't. I just don't think he's as, what's the word when you can't say anything about anyone? Speaking of, can we talk about Bukayo Saka?
Yes.
Because what's going on with him?
Needs to step up. We all love him, right? And I think he's getting too many free passes recently, where he's playing. We've gone through the whole spectrum, haven't we? We started off with, obviously he got injured, but then he was like, he's playing well, he's putting the ball across, and then you're almost blaming Gokaresh for not being in the right place or whoever. And that, I'm not saying that wasn't incorrect, but there was a lot of, he's putting good balls across, and they just wasn't, he could have had a lot more assists. But for Bukayo Saka to be on no more than 4 assists at this time of the year is just simply not good enough. We had Bukayo Saka as our version of Salah. Not as good, but he would be able to do for us what Salah does for Liverpool, and that is score the goals that take us over the line to win big things. And I don't think he's doing that at the moment, and I don't know why. And I'm trying to say, well, he's conserving himself for the business end of the season because he's never been in a position to do that. Because for the first time we've had Madueke. I'm happy for Madueke just simply to take minutes off of Saka, but Saka then has to come in and fucking perform like we know he can perform when he has had a rest.
I've got to be honest. I agree. There's I brought it up, right? I do think there's a conversation to have. I don't think he was as awful yesterday as everyone's making out. I think he's had worse games recently.
I'm just talking in general.
No, I know.
In
Just
general,
but yeah. He needs to be doing more. But I don't know. So I do think there's this underlying thing where people are frustrated with him, and it got exacerbated by him not contributing yesterday. Yesterday wasn't his worst performance in my opinion, even though he should have done more. But overall, holistically, he's not been of the level we need, right? And it's the same with the whole attack. One other thing I wanted to say, just while we were talking about refereeing, again, I don't want to be that guy, but when did it become okay to just start manhandling players and grabbing them? Because we're very good at corners, yeah. But you sit just watching and again, I don't want to be that Arsenal fan, but it does influence how you then approach things. There are people being bear hugged and held, and that's not allowed. You look at what Marino's goal. White's being pushed into the post by Cunha, a two-handed shove. Anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul.
And he ended up on the other side of off the touchline, didn't he?
Yeah, and I do think there's this thing of you almost get penalized because you become so good at things that the law just kind of gets let slip. And I do want to bring it up because I do think these things make a difference. I do think because we've got so good at set pieces, there's more tolerance and leniency on things that previously wasn't there. And even was it Gyökeres or Jesus where the ball we were attacking the North Bank where you would have been, ball goes down the channel, they're just getting bear hugged by someone and it doesn't get blown for a foul. I'm like, what's this about? I feel like that the bear hugging in football is becoming quite normalized. Acerbi did it to Gyökeres and it got a yellow card and stuff on the continent, but in the league, it's.
I agree. I saw it in the Forest game where every single set piece corner, the ref only gave a foul against us in the penalty area, where for bear hugs and for stuff like that. And I'm not asking for a penalty, but I'm thinking you can't have it all one way. It is 50-50. You do see, I've still got a picture from, because United fans will still argue that our goal against them on the first game of the season was a foul.
I can't even remember it.
It was a set piece. Saliba backed into the keeper, pinned him, but I've got a picture with 7 United players, because I use it on social media all the time because they've still given it for months. They're doing the Ten Hag press conference, the Ten Hag press conference where the offside goal, and we're referencing it every fucking week. So I'm I had to pin it up every single week. No, listen, mate, there's a foul there, there's a foul there, there's a foul there. He's pinned him, bear hug there. And it's got worse since then. But I do think we are, and that's what I was saying. I don't think we go into the days of Ben White ripping gloves off of keepers has gone. I think we're just so smart with our positioning and where we come in. I don't think we're actually pinning. There is a bit of pinning. But I think that we're smarter, and their only counter to that is to bear hug us, to stop us moving, or to push us off the pitch. So
watch the first goal, the own goal. Watch Lisandro Martinez on Timber. He's literally holding him. When has this become normalized and allowed? And people will mock us and stuff, but we do play the territory game. That's why we've scored so many own goals. That's why we've scored so many set pieces. But if you're in that area of the pitch so much, you need the rules to be implemented to work in your favor. And I do believe that if you're just seeing bear hugging in the middle of the pitch, it will be blown for a foul. So why is it not in the box? And I get there's the common sense thing, it shouldn't result in an 80% probability of a goal, but there needs to be something around this because we're getting penalized for being good at something there. But yeah, try to think if there's anything else from the game that you want to cover. If not, Finn's got a couple of good questions I want to ask before we get out of here. You got anything else on your mind?
No, all good, mate. All good.
All righty. So Finn's question is, and if anyone else has any that they want to chuck in, just give us a shout. He says, a question, lads. Would like your analysis on this if you have time. An increasing shout I'm seeing is this team is more suitable for winning the Champions League than the Premier League. Do you agree? And how is that impacted by games against other English clubs, which I would have as a high likelihood at some stage?
We are a mean team to beat over two legs, I think, especially with the advantage of playing it at home at the second leg. Although, having said that, after our discussions about the shit atmosphere earlier, I don't know that is that an advantage of playing the second leg at home. But if you did, I also see us. We will definitely play an English team in this. If the further we go on, would I like to play Liverpool over two legs in a quarter final? No. Could we do them? Not so confident. I love the performance against Inter Milan. I love the freedom that we've got. I love the expression that we can have. The fearlessness, the lack of immediate pressure that's impacting us so much in the Premier League. But that's going to stop after this game because it's a two-leg knockout. So yes, if you ask me, would I? That's not the question, but we discussed it at the weekend. Was if you could ask, would only win one, what would you rather? Premier League for me. I would always go for the Premier League.
But I disagree, but it's just if we don't win the Premier League from here, I'm never going to be able to argue against.
Yeah, that's what we said.
But I think we've never won the Champions League.
No, that's true. That's true. What do you think? Are we suited more to win the Champions League then? That's for Finn's question.
I do think we are still very capable of winning this Premier League. I do think it's understandable. Like we've dropped. So what? We've had 3 games: Liverpool, Forest, Man United. There's 9 points up for grabs there, and we've got what? 2? Yeah, 2 points. So it's understandable what's how everyone's feeling right now. But I do think we are top, and we have demonstrated an ability to put points on the board over sustained periods of time. So I'm not sure we don't suit winning the league, but yeah, I do think we suit winning the Champions League more than the league, more because I do think in the league, teams, I know it's a cliche and stuff, but teams do come to park it a bit more, and I'm not convinced we have the same level. This is a mindset thing. I'm not sure we have the same level of risk-taking or intent about us when teams park it. I think we are a team that requires being reactionary. I think when our team we say that we want teams to press us so much, right? Why is that? I think it's because when teams press us, you don't think. You're instantaneously doing things and passing into the next person, moving into the space where that is. And it's like your speed of execution and decision making is bang, bang, bang. When you're facing a team that is parking it, you think more. And when you think more, you by nature, you overthink it, right? And everything slows down. A 1 second pass becomes a 3 second pass. How often do we see it where Saliba can pass it to Zubimendi? And I'm not using this as the example because of what happened, but Saliba can pass it to Zubimendi, but he puts his studs on the ball, waits 3 seconds, and then he does it. Whereas in Europe, you've got someone sprinting towards you. You don't have time to think about that. You pass it into the next guy. And I think we're so well drilled positionally on where to be on the pitch that it suits us when we have less time to think about it. So that's what I think the difference is, in my opinion, between Europe versus the league. I think we're a bunch of overthinkers in the league because of the nature of how teams set up against us. I think we're a team that thrives on instinct and stuff.
And it gives us it doesn't allow that in uncertainty or indecision to set in, does it? It's just bang, bang, pop, 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 pop. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I guess are you good to leave it there? That's kind of bang on the hour.
Yeah, all good, mate.
Well, sorry, like I'm not well aware we didn't really do the usual of like going into the incident by incident, event by event, but it didn't really feel like the right thing to do. This felt like more of a. I mean, the first two comments were literally Finn and Swappen saying time for therapy, and I think we needed that as well, right? We needed
Yeah,
to
I
just.
feel much better. I feel much better.
Yeah, me too. I
Always
think
do, always do after a chat. It was one of those where we're like half joking that we'll be doing the pods today, and I'm like, yeah, we've got to be, because
I
it's not.
wanted to.
Yeah, and so did I, because I think it's much better to get it out, listen. Hopefully, the listeners enjoyed, and we always welcome feedback and get in touch. But it's just something as a community just to sort of talk it out, and you've got to have these conversations. There's difficult conversations. There's me. I've never spoken like that about Saka before.
I've never spoken about the manager like that.
I know, but we have to, because we can't just be a whitewash podcast that just says everything's great and it's all good and we're all rosy and we're going to win the league by 10 points, because that's not fucking life. So
Yeah,
you've got to tough it out, and we'll be all right. But we just need to pick ourselves up, tweak a few things, and get on with it.
yeah, exactly. It's obviously Kyrat midweek. I don't think we need to do what we think the lineup will be. We're guaranteed top two. Just try and enjoy that. Honestly, just
Yeah,
I hope he does rest everyone that needs to be rested. Doesn't risk anyone that doesn't need to be risked. But like just anyone going enjoy that game. I always find those games quite cathartic and like a bit of a palate cleanser. Those ones. So
plenty of tickets on the ticket exchange for people. If you want to watch, if you're watching, you never think you can get a ticket to Arsenal, give it a go, because you'll have a very good chance of getting a ticket.
Yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed a ticket if you want to go, to be honest. But yeah, enjoy that palate cleanser, and then are we doing a pod on Friday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So then Friday we'll look ahead to Leeds. But yeah,
Yeah.
Kyrat to go through, and then we'll touch on Leeds. But it's a big period. Like, come on, boys, show us what you're made of. Like, we all want this, and we need to earn the right to win it. We're not just going to coast our way through, even though I thought we may. But yeah, Uncle Mike, yeah, pleasure as always. This was very, very needed, very cathartic. I think it was the right thing to do it how we did. I think going event by event would have just depressed us even more, to be honest. So yeah, give us feedback though, because this is only mine and Mike's opinions on what we wanted to talk about. So let us know how this landed, what you thought and stuff. And yeah, we'll be back on Friday. We'll confirm the time and stuff. But yeah, enjoy Kyrat. Let's enjoy, hopefully, topping the league table in the Champions League, because that is a feat that we should be proud of. But yeah, time to really sort our shit out in the league. We'll leave it there. Uncle Mike, pleasure as always. Up the Arsenal.
Come on, you Reds.